All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to be in the 135-pound division where some things have been said about Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson. Also, what's going on with the 135-pound division. Basically, Richardson Hitchens lets it out what Gervonta Davis must be thinking about Shakur Stevenson, and I think that he is 100% right. However, people are dumping all over Shakur Stevenson, and they should probably back up off of that. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division where Gervonta Tank Davis should be looking to fight the best fighter other than himself and the only other champion currently in the division in which he is a WBA world champion, and that is Shakur Stevenson. I thought that there was some very interesting insight that came from Richardson Hitchens, otherwise known as Africa. And we are going to talk about that in the video, as well as what else is going on with the division as far as Vasily Lomachenko and George Kambosos and what's going to happen with those other belts. But before I do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And thank you for everybody that supports the channel and the super thanks of the video. It really makes a big difference and helps support the channel. So thank you guys so much. D Murray, you're the man. This video I'm going to dedicate to D Murray, who's out there supporting. Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate it. And all of these videos that I'm probably going to do for the next several days are dedicated to the memory of John Bowie. Thank you, sir, for all you did for the channel. Thank you for being a friend, and rest in peace, champ. And condolences to your family and loved ones. Let's get into this. Richardson Hitchens, who is a prospect, I think he's a contender. I'm not going to call him prospect. A contender at 140 pounds, very skilled fighter, fights on DAZN. A former Mayweather fighter from Mayweather Promotions, talked about Gervonta Tank Davis and a guy that I think is one of the best fighters in the world, Shakur Stevenson, despite what people said about his last performance against Edwin De Los Santos. Shakur Stevenson is absolutely positively the real deal. However, Richardson Hitchens says that Gervonta Davis is licking his chops at Shakur Stevenson after seeing the performance that he put on with Edwin De Los Santos, and that his thought process was pretty much this, that if you are going to have a hard time with Edwin De Los Santos and you can't stand there and take a shot from Edwin De Los Santos, then what do you think you're going to do if you're going to fight me? And I'm going to wind up really, really hurting you. Now, I think that there's some truth to that for sure. However, I also think that there is some, a little drama to that as well, at least from my perspective. However, before I get into that, though, let me say that I do believe that that is the fight at 135 pounds. If all of the talk that people do about wanting Gervonta Davis to fight this guy, that guy, and the other guy, I think the one guy that should be aimed at most specifically is Shakur Stevenson. That is something that has been acknowledged by Kenny Ellis, by Calvin Ford, by Gervonta Davis himself. Those guys know that Shakur Stevenson is going to be the guy that is the biggest challenge for Gervonta Davis in that weight class. Of course, there's other guys in that weight class still who, man, I definitely want to see the fights. I want to see Gervonta and Edwin De Los Santos. Definitely want to see. I want to see Rayo in the ring with any of those guys. Rayo Valenzuela. I think he really did acquit himself very well. You got Raymond Muratalla, who's in that division. I don't know. Did I say Vasily Lomachenko? If I didn't say Vasily Lomachenko, obviously the veteran Vasily Lomachenko, who's probably going to be mopping up on George Kambosos in Australia before too long. All these guys are excellent fighters. You got Manuel Navarrete, who's at 130, but definitely looking like he's going to be at 135. You know, when he pops a couple more, eats a couple more of those tortillas, what do you call them? Tamales, a couple more tamale celebrations. He's behind, going to be up there at 135 pounds as well. He's been weight bullying people down at 122, 126, and 130 for about as long as he can stretch that. So he's probably going to be at 135 pounds too. Think all of these fights are really good fights. Most of these guys at 135, however, are on top rank. So I think you're going to see a lot of those guys mixed up, but we're waiting clearly to see what Gervonta's going to do. But I think when all of that stuff is settled and done, it's Gervonta Davis and it is Shakur Stevenson. Now, as far as what took place with the Edwin De Los Santos fight, Shakur Stevenson said that he had some injuries going into that fight. Now, it is very popular in boxing conversations to say, well, you're just making an excuse up, because it excuses you and explains why you may not have performed up to snuff. But here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. If you are really paying attention to sports over any amount of time, injuries really do happen. People really do go into the ring or go onto a court or onto the field or onto the track not 100%. And if you are not 100% and you're fighting somebody that is near where you are on any given day, you can lose or you can look bad or you have to go into your bag of tricks and do something else. That's really part of being a champion. That's part of being somebody that is a very big risk to somebody, when you know that they can go into and pull something off even though they're not right. That's where the consistency comes from, that separates people from one level, a very high level, from a very, very high level. And whether you like it or not, Shakur, and you can acknowledge it, and I can freely acknowledge that Shakur Stevenson snuck up the gym, but that doesn't mean that Shakur Stevenson did not win that fight. And Shakur Stevenson was not able to do what he needed to do to stay away from Edwin De Los Santos, but yet still engage with Edwin De Los Santos enough to win a fight and get out of there and take that belt with him. Because at the end of the day, that was his job. And you may wind up seeing him in there with Gervonta Davis when something ain't quite right with Gervonta and everything is right with him. I did a video earlier today where I talked about being able to beat somebody, can beat somebody versus will beat somebody. And that's what happens something you got to consider when you have fights that are evenly matched, like Terrence Crawford and Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis can beat Terrence Crawford. Will he? You got to see that day. He may beat him the first time, lose the second time, lose the first time, win the second time, draw the third time. Manny Pacquiao versus Juan Manuel Marquez was that way. Manny Pacquiao won. First he got a draw, then 2 wins, and then he got knocked out. That's why you want to see these type of fights. And for all the fights that are being called for Gervonta Davis, this really truly is the one with Shakur Stevenson. But I do think that Gervonta probably is licking his lips looking at this man, thinking what he can do in that ring. However, I still want to see the fight, and I don't think there's a whole lot of reasons other than the promotional wall that's up that it'll eventually, if Shakur Stevenson plays his cards right, could go away, especially if he went over to the PBC, where there are fights for him as well. He's not going to get a lot of easy fights over there, right? Matter of fact, the first time I've seen him at 135 fight a PBC fighter, you saw that wasn't very easy. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.